Hey there, have you ever had one of those moments where your machine learning model just grinds to a halt? You've got this massive data set and your tools just can't keep up. Well, if that sounds familiar, you're in exactly the right place. Today we're diving into Apache Spark's MLlib, a library that's built from the ground up to solve that exact problem of scale.
All right, so you know your way around a big database, right? But now you're hitting a new kind of wall. Your data has exploded, going from gigabytes to terabytes, maybe even petabytes. And all those trusty tools that worked perfectly on a single server, they just can't handle the load anymore. So that leaves us with a really important question. What do you do? How do you build predictive models when your data is spread out across a whole cluster of machines?
Well, that is exactly the problem Spark was built to solve. And its answer for machine learning is MLlib. The best way to think about it is like a standard library, but for distributed machine learning. Its whole philosophy is really about one thing: giving you powerful, common algorithms that are designed from day one to run in parallel across a cluster. Okay, so before we can just unleash these awesome distributed algorithms, we've got to learn to speak their language. And that all starts with understanding the very specific ways data has to be structured to really tap into Spark's power. So here's the big question for this section. For all this parallel magic to actually happen, how do we need to represent our data? This is just as fundamental as choosing the right data type for a column in a database. If you get it wrong, things just won't work. But if you get it right, you unlock some serious computational power. So the way MLlib handles this is actually pretty brilliant. It boils everything down to 3 core data types. First up is the vector. And for anyone with a database background, this analogy is perfect. Just think of it as a single row in your table that has only numeric columns. Simple. Then you have the labeled point. This is just a vector that's paired with a label, the thing you're trying to predict. So think of that as a row that has that special target column. And finally, you have the model. This is the thing you get after you train an algorithm. It's basically the compiled logic, like a super complex predictive query that's all ready to be used on new data. All right, so we know what our data needs to look like, but how do we get our raw, messy data into that perfect format? Well, that brings us to a super critical step: preparing our data as features. Yeah, let's be real. Raw data is almost never clean or ready for analysis right out of the box. So the challenge becomes, how do we take that raw stuff and transform it into the clean, numerical feature vectors that these algorithms need to see? You can think of this whole process as a kind of sophisticated ETL job, but one that's specifically designed for machine learning. And the good news is, MLlib gives you a fantastic toolkit for this. If you're working with text, you've got things like tfidf, which is a clever way to turn words into numbers based on how important they are. For your numerical data, tools like standard scaler and normalizer are absolutely essential for getting all your features onto the same scale so they can be compared fairly. And then there's really cool stuff like word2vec, which can actually create vectors for words that capture their semantic meaning. Incredibly powerful stuff. Okay, our data is in the right format, it's been cleaned and transformed into features. Now it's time for the fun part. Let's get into the core of what machine learning is all about, harnessing its predictive power. So, with our data all prepped and ready to go, the big question becomes, how do we actually start making predictions about outcomes? This is the world of supervised learning. It's called supervised because our data set has a known answer, or a label, and our goal is to train a model that can predict that label on new data it's never seen before. Now, supervised learning usually breaks down into 2 main jobs. First, there's classification. This is all about predicting a category, a distinct class label. Think, is this email spam or not spam? It's a yes or no, or one of a few categories. Then you have regression. This is where you're predicting a continuous numerical value. You're not picking a category, you're trying to predict a specific number, like the price of a house. And this is where MLlib really shines. It's not just 1 or 2 algorithms. You get a whole suite of them, all built to scale. You have the classic workhorses like linear models, things like logistic regression for your classification tasks, and linear regression for, you guessed it, regression. But you also get probabilistic models like naive Bayes and some incredibly powerful methods like decision trees and random forests. Okay, but everything we've talked about so far assumes one big thing, that our data has labels. What happens when it doesn't? Well, that brings us to the unsupervised challenge, finding those hidden patterns when there's no right answer to guide us. Right, so picture this. You've got this massive data set, but there's no target column,
no labels, no ground truth to learn from. How on earth can you find any kind of inherent structure or natural groupings within the data itself? That is the central question of unsupervised learning. Well, the most common answer and the go-to algorithm for this is called k-means clustering. The goal is beautifully simple. You, the user, tell it how many clusters, that's the K, you think are in your data. And the algorithm goes to work, partitioning all your data points into that many groups based on how similar they are to each other. MLlib even provides an optimized version called kmeans II that's built for speed and stability on huge data sets. You know, this whole idea of finding natural patterns in user behavior leads us straight into one of the coolest and most valuable things you can do with machine learning, building recommendation engines. I mean, have you ever wondered how services like Netflix or Amazon are just so good at knowing what you'll probably like next? How do they do that? How can we intelligently recommend things to people, not just based on their own past behavior, but on the behavior of millions of other similar users? The magic behind this in MLlib is an algorithm called alternating least squares, or just ALS for short. It's a type of collaborative filtering algorithm that's designed to learn from user item interaction data. And what makes it so useful is its flexibility. It can learn from explicit feedback, like when you give a movie a 4-star rating, but it can also learn from implicit feedback, like the simple act of you watching a video or just clicking on a product. So let's just take a quick step back. We've gone all the way from figuring out the right data structures to cleaning and transforming our features, and then finally unleashing a whole library of different algorithms on our data. What MLlib gives you are the tools to build a complete, end-to-end machine learning pipeline that can actually run on massive, massive data sets. And that really brings us full circle, doesn't it? The amount of data out there isn't shrinking, it's exploding. So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Your data is only getting bigger. Are your models ready to scale right along with it? Hey, if this breakdown helped you think about scaling your own models, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives like this one. Thanks so much for watching.